A lot of the Georgia fans are really not going to want to hear this or talk about it, but I think we at least need to acknowledge that Georgia might have squandered its best chance to win a national championship. And no, I think Georgia's going to win more national championships. So don't mishear what I'm saying. Don't misconstrue my words. Whatever. Don't twist it. I think Georgia and Kirby will win more national championships. Could be this coming season. They're the favorite, and I get why they're the favorite. But why did the three-peat? Why did not three-peating sting so much? Because it's going to be different next year, right? All of these changes are culminating into 2024, and I don't know what college football is going to be like next year, but you look ahead at Georgia's roster with transfers, what they're losing, the way the schedule is. You're going to have to win more games, or you're going to have to win more games later in the year. You're going to have to stay healthy. You're going to have to stay deep. It's going to be really hard to win national championships. I don't know that there will be dynasties the way there was with Nick Saban. I kind of have been under this under the thought pattern that Kirby Smart and Georgia can build a dynasty. And in a way, I think this is a little bit of a dynasty, right? I don't know what the rule is, how many national championships and what kind of window there is, but they built an empire. Let's call it that. Kirby built an empire at Georgia, and it's going to compete for national championships on a yearly basis. But the last year, the 14 playoff, a field where it felt like you were the best team in college football for the majority of the year, if not the entire year. And you look at who's in the playoff, and I just think Georgia could have competed with these teams. So did they squander their chance at a three-peat? Was this the title that was going to come the easiest, or am I looking at it the wrong way? Ryan Curley from Dawg Post talking about Georgia's title chances in the future in general, talking about national championship, something we've done a lot, right? How many times has the word national championship come out of my mouth here since in the last few years, right? It's a good thing for Georgia, right? How often we talk about this. The fact that I got to be there and I get to wear this shirt, right? I'm wearing it today because the national championship is today. This video should be publishing just before kickoff of the Michigan-Washington game. So that game hasn't happened yet, right? That game hasn't happened yet in case something goes on that I should have mentioned here. But, I look ahead at next year and I look at Georgia's lineup. Think about how important some of these guys were. Just Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, Marcus Jackson. This offense will be different. The line will be almost identical, minus Cedric Van Pran. And then you look on defense. Does Georgia's defense get better in 2024? Outside of high school recruiting, they only got one player. They got a defensive lineman from South Carolina. I don't know a ton about the guy. I need to do more research on him to tell you what I think, and I'll do that soon. But I think that Georgia had some serious needs, and they went after some other stuff. Now, wide receiver is always going to be in need, and wide receiver is going to be in need, especially with football being a different sport than it used to be. Think about how different Georgia was just even a few years ago. It was so running back heavy, so centric on handing the ball off to studs. You should, when you have guys like Nick Chubb in the backfield, guys like Todd Gurley, and they've had some good ones since, right? Zamir White and James Cook are no slouch. But this is a passing league now, and you look at the numbers for Georgia, you look at you look at this decade so far in 2020, the emphasis on passing the ball has obviously increased, right? They throw the ball more than they did with Jake Fromm. They throw the ball more than they did right before that with both Stetson and Carson. And they threw the ball a lot in 2023. Part of that was because of a lack of steadiness at the running back position, especially at the beginning of the season when we talk about injuries and all that. But my point here is, looking forward, it's going to be different. Carson Beck's not going to be throwing to those guys. He's going to be throwing to Colby Young and Lennon Humphreys and the kid from Michael Jackson III and Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas. 5 of probably the top 7 receivers for Georgia next season didn't go to Georgia as a freshman, right? They transferred in. So Is that going to be difficult for Carson Beck over the offseason? Is it going to be difficult for them to gel? I don't know. My point here is to round it right back to where I was starting. I think it's going to be a lot harder from here on out. And I think that 2023 was a really good chance. When we just think about how Georgia beat down all those teams, losing the SEC championship was brutal. It was brutal. A team that clearly did not seem as good as you the entire year, Alabama. And I don't think that the Rose Bowl didn't give me much confidence in either team, right? And it didn't give me much confidence in Michigan. So I watched the SEC championship, and I'm just baffled at how Georgia loses this game. I really thought Georgia was just better. Its coaching, its execution, maybe it's a little bit of officiating. But losing Alabama ended up being brutal because it cost Georgia a chance to fight for another national championship. A national championship that I ultimately think, if Georgia had a shot, they were going to win that game. I apologize for the texting. Kirby loves to just text me when I'm talking about him winning national championships. I just think it's going to be more difficult. The core of what they've won with is almost gone. It'll almost be gone. What will be left over of it, Carson? I mean, of the back-to-back run, how many starters from either of those national championships will they have? 1, 2 offensive linemen in Truss and Ratledge. And so 2 on offense. I'm looking at a depth chart. Sorry, I'm looking at it on my screen. I'm not showing it to you. And then they'll have on defense, Stackhouse, Michael Williams, Chaz Chambliss, Smile Munden, and Malachi Starks. So from the back-to-back run, there will be 7 players that started in either of those seasons. There will be 7 players left over. So the core is different. And you heard my point where the continuity is different. Dean did a video earlier. It's a concept that I wanted to talk about as well. He kind of beat me to it, especially when he's talking to an insider with it. It's going to be hard to build a winner, right? So the challenge will be to sustain this for Georgia. That's going to be the real challenge. How do you sustain this with how different things are? How do you sustain this when someone is offering Carson Beck a few $1 million or someone's offering Dylan Bell a couple million to go over to their team? How do you do that when you're not building from the ground up? So we are entering uncharted territory in this sport. Am I wrong? Guys, the Pac-12's dead. There is no Pac-12. I feel like every time I say that out loud, I'm a little bit surprised, and I say it to you a little bit surprised, but there's no more Pac-12. We're going to a 12-team playoff. There are players transferring left and right. Georgia's looking to add another quarterback to its roster. It's a disaster is not the right word, but this is not the same world that we lived in a couple years ago when Georgia was winning those national championships. It's different now, and I think it's going to be harder. But if there is a couple of guys and a couple of programs that are built for it, that have proven they can succeed with the changes and everything, it is Kirby. Kirby and Georgia is one of those, right? Obviously, I think it's hard to not say that about Nick Saban and Alabama. I don't know what you're getting from Michigan in the future because I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to be there. What will change for Michigan? I don't know that Ryan Day is the guy at Ohio State, right? So you look around, maybe it's not as bad as I'm saying because out of the powers, Georgia will probably hold a lot more continuity than the other programs over the next couple of years, and that's partly because of the tight ship that Georgia ran. But 2023, and this year, I do feel like in a little bit of a way, they squandered their best opportunity and an opportunity to make history. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. Links are down below for the newsletter.